Hi, everybody. Welcome to Ladies Power Lunch. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we have full house here in the Zoom studio, and I'm so excited because one of my very dear friends and your very dear friends is actually going to be talking to us today about one of the things that we don't seem to think about often enough when we're thinking about the ways that we can improve our income and our impact. I have Lori with us here in the Zoom studio, and she's really going to share with us how we can improve our impact and our income through this little known or little talked about way. I want to also welcome to our Zoom studio Michelle, Wendy, and Wendy Lee. And I would like to invite you guys to just hop off mute for a sec and introduce yourselves, say who you are, what it is you do, and why you decided to be a part of our call today.
You want me to go first, Davia?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
I sure do.
I'll be quick. I am the assistant director at STEPS, which is a local nonprofit. We serve the young women ages 10 through 18 in our local public school systems, which are presently Norwich, Groton, and New London. But this is super exciting. We've had Plainfield contact us. And whatever towns contact us in regard to they want our services in their schools, you know what? We'll make it happen. So super exciting. We're growing, and thank you, Davia. I'm here today to learn. I always love to learn.
Thank you so much, Wendy. And I want to say congratulations because I know your organization Steps recently was awarded by a woman foundation an award. And that's really just speaking a lot to the work that you're doing in the community. I also want to say thank you for inviting me to be a speaker for your summer program for these women, 17-year-old women. They're going to be the next generation of leaders that are coming after us. And I had the privilege, thanks to Wendy, the privilege of being able to speak to them. And it was just such a meaningful experience for me. So thank you so much, Wendy. Michelle.
Thank you, Davia.
Oh, thank you. Welcome, Michelle. It's just so great to see you. Can you tell everybody who you are, what it is that you do?
Thank you. Yes, it's great to see you too. And I'm so glad I was able to hop on today. So I'm Michelle Lemoy, and I am launching this month my new business, which I registered with the state of Connecticut yesterday, Elevate Women in Construction. And so our goal is we're going to do a launch September 30th of this month here at Hartford Flavor Company as a partnership. She is a woman-owned business as well in the distillery area. And we're hoping to support women to be seen and heard in the construction industry to help raise the numbers. Women only make up 9.9% of the labor force in the industry. And so we really want to work to advocate by providing a safe community for women to join. A membership site. And so we're going to roll all that out this month. So I'm so grateful to be here. And I've worked with Lori recently on my essence words. So any opportunity to work with her and learn from her again, I am here.
Awesome. Love it, love it, love it. And my dear heart, Wendy Lee, so good to see you. I'm so excited that you jumped on today. It feels, the energy in the room just feels electric to me. Good to see you. Tell us, who are you? What do you do? And why are you here today?
First of all, I love you, Davia, so much, and the platform that you have cultivated. My name is Wendy Lee. My company is Lead Hership Revolution, and I'm a transformational life coach. Really what I'm working on right now in my business is to help women get out of this hustle culture, the doing, proving, and leading from the heart. So lead from the heart and heal from the hustle is kind of my thing. And I know what that's all about. Michelle, you and I still need to connect. I was in the construction business, head of HR for a long time. And then I was in the car dealership. So lots of masculine energy business and what I've learned about myself and my own transformation. So I'm here today because anytime there's a combination of Davia and Lori, I'm in. I know it's going to be a powerful connective thing, and I'm really being called to be connected today. So happy to be here with all these awesome, beautiful human beings on here.
Awesome. Thank you, Wendy. And I just saw Hannah hop on. Hannah, I don't know if you wanted to just very quickly say who you are and what you do. Just introduce yourself to the group.
Everyone here knows me, Davia.
No one knows you. We've never seen you before in our lives.
Everyone.
I'm Hannah. I cook healthy stuff and I make it really fun. And that's what I do.
Awesome. Thank you, Hannah. So, guys, we're here today because Lori has deigned to drop some knowledge bombs on us. So, Lori, I want to hand over to you and I want to give you an opportunity to share with us who you are and what you do in the world. What sort of transformations and changes are you helping your clients move through?
Yeah, and I do apologize because I don't know if anyone just saw the white fluffy tail that kind of floated by, but I do have my 2 huskies, and so far they're being quiet, but you might see a tail in the background. I like to refer to myself as a creation catalyst, a soul activist, an intuitive transformation alchemist. And the newest piece is that I am a geographical soulmate matchmaker. And that last piece is the piece that we're going to really talk about. But I work with women leaders and women entrepreneurs to really help them to be their most authentic self and how they show up in their daily life, whether it's their personal life, their professional life, their business, by really kind of peeling away the different layers of armor and getting in touch with all of the opportunities and possibilities that are available to them. And one of the things that I wanted to really kind of talk about is that I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but really since the onset of COVID, what I've been seeing is examples of the land, of the earth, of Mother Nature, actually calling us to co-create the next level of oneness. And so an example of that, and I'd love for you to put in the chat box any examples that you have, either personally or that you've seen. But I know that just watching some of the posts in the LPL Facebook group, and then many of you that I'm connected to on Facebook, more people are posting pictures of themselves out in nature. Posting themselves on vacations. I know, Michelle, you were recently, and Hannah on a retreat. And Wendy, I know you post a lot of when you're out entertaining people, which many times is kind of out in a particular geography. But the need and the calling to be in environments where we're actually connected to the earth. And so, you know, if you have any of those experiences, please post them. And I actually have, I think there's probably 10 different friends that I can count at this point that in the last 6 to 8 months have moved to their ideal location. Some have been Florida, some have been other places. I have a friend right now who's actually even contemplating moving out of the country. And all of them, when I've asked them, what is it that's kind of initiating that pull? They all have said that it's something in some ways they can't even initially describe, but their heart and their soul are being pulled to identify that location where they can thrive. And so I do see some of the items in the chat box. So Wendy, yes, doing yoga in the pine trees, birds, nature, last night with 200 people. Yes, and other Wendy, yes. You know, there are definitely things that are happening, right? That we're being, you know, whether it's the fires in the West, whether it's the floods, whether it is, there's been hurricanes, there've been, you know, a variety of different things. So there's that negative piece, but there's also the positive pieces. But I think Mother Nature is getting louder and truly trying to wake us up. And so one of the things that I've been looking at through my own experience over the last 18 months to 24 months, as well as starting to do more research, is that I think that there is a geographical soulmate, or perhaps soulmates, that are out there for each of us. And similar to finding your human soulmate or human soulmates, there is a process that we go through. And I've actually divided it into like 2 different steps. And so I help specifically women to actually find that geographical soulmate. And the first step is what I'm calling the journey. Or if you think about kind of from a human soulmate process, it's kind of the dating and the courting process.
So Lori,
Yes.
the journey, let's talk about that a little bit. And before I even dive into that, I want to just be sure to acknowledge all our friends who are joining us over on our Facebook group. We have quite a quorum over there as well. Thank you so much for joining April, Barbara, Marianne, also other Barbara. And there are no other Jamie. Hi, everybody. I'm seeing all your comments. Marianne says, I'm watching y'all from my patio and watching the butterflies fluttering by. Yeah, talk to us a little bit about the journey, because I'm not sure if all of us realize how important it can be for us to be living in the environment where the nature that is around us is supportive of us, and how when that happens, that is actually feeding our soul in such a way that the things that we create in our lives and in our businesses is really transcendent compared to what we would create in another kind of environment. Tell us a little bit about your journey, because A, we're nosy, and B, I'm feeling like that's gonna really guide.
Yeah, no, I think it is. And I think it starts with paying attention. And I think it starts with what is most important to us. So it's some of the basics. I mean, when you think about finding your human soulmate, what do you think about? You think about what's valuable to you. What are your values? What is your core purpose? What's important to you? What are the foundational kind of parameters that you are looking for in that person or in that connection? You can apply those same things to where you live. And I'm not necessarily talking about the home or the dwelling, but truly the bigger geography, the bigger location. It's kind of asking the questions of, where you currently are you in your highest vibrational energy all the time? Does that location support you with that? When you walk out of wherever it is that you're living, do you feel different when you're actually walking and connecting with the land? For me in Arizona, it's the mountains. It's, walking in the lake that's close by. Is it a, what I like to describe almost like a cellular connection to your surroundings? And if the answer is no, then for me, there is a place or places possible for you. And are you ready to take a look at that? So,
Awesome.
Divya, and really my journey started about 15 years ago. Each time that I would visit the location that I'm in currently, I didn't want to leave. And so I started to really take a look at what was that was calling me back, and how was I different each time I was there.
And you've moved all the way from the East Coast. I mean, you went across the country to be with your geographical soulmate. Tell us a little bit about what it took to undertake that big upheaval. That's huge.
Well, and some of because you were part of the support for that process and that move. To me, it took being honest with myself of what was important. It took letting go of familiar relationships, familiar marriage, familiar friends, familiar work, all for this calling that initially I couldn't even describe. But knowing that there was a reason that I was being called to do that. And then having support, like many of you, to actually make that change.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit more about some of the other steps in
Okay.
your geographical soulmate locator process.
Yeah. So in the chapter that I have on geographical soulmate in Becoming the Beacon, there are several. Marianne actually teases me a little bit, but more than several questions that you can actually ask yourself to go through this initial kind of journey process. And so some of it's thinking about, do you have a favorite place that you go to? Do you have a favorite vacation place? Do you have a place where you just light up every single time you're there? Where people who you don't even know perhaps come up to you and start to have a conversation, or they start to recognize the energy that you're actually emitting. And these are things that people have told me and that I've experienced myself. And it's kind of deciding, like, if you have that place and you're not currently there, then is the calling so strong that you're ready to explore that? And I keep likening this whole process really to finding your human soulmate. I don't think Sandy Tomey's on right now, but Sandy is a love and relationship coach, and I'm currently working with her on that part of my life. And there's so many parallels to this process of also finding your geographical soulmate. And the other piece that I wanted to mention too is, we talk, kind of to put this into perspective of how important it is, we talk a lot about our self-care and what we do to support ourselves and how that then supports our businesses. And we talk about our emotional health and wellness, our physical, our spiritual. Well, I'd like to add another dimension, and that is our geographical health and wellness. Because I believe that where you currently live, the whole environment actually impacts all of those.
Yes.
So it can help us to feel more energized, to feel more creative, to feel more innovative, if we are in that type of environment that truly supports that. And then that leads to, having a more successful business, a more successful life.
I love that. We have quite a few comments. I'm just scrolling through the chat and I'm gonna pick out a few of them. April says that she's been blessed to have a soulmate in her life for 43 years. That's so wonderful. Congratulations on that, April. She says, I created my secret garden in my space filled with flowers and scents, butterflies, birds, a hanging hammock, chairs, lights. Yeah, so she just created her own geographical soulmate. That feels wonderful. Barbara says, my very best place is by the water. Could be lake, river, or ocean, but I always feel great when I'm there. I've had this conversation with you before, Lori, about feeling really, really at peace when I am close to a body of water, preferably the ocean.
Yes.
Yeah. Marianne says, I adore the mountains and rivers and lakes. We have another comment, Block Island in September. That's very, very specific.
Yes.
I want to open up for conversation with those of us who are here on the Zoom room. What do you guys think when it comes to, being in that space of creativity where you can actually see your business growing because you have the light of nature in you. Where do you like to be when you feel that energy? Hey, Hannah, you're unmuted, so I'm guessing that's
Yeah,
Well,
and Hannah also has a question.
I
too.
was unmuted, but I wasn't unmuted for your question, Davia.
okay.
Lori, I just kind of wanted to pick your brains. I'm so curious what you
Yeah.
see in the overlaps between the male or the soulmate and the location.
Yeah, I just saw your question.
Yeah.
Well, and I know you and I have talked a little bit about kind of finding that special, spiritual connection person. What I'm seeing the overlaps are is that we really need to know ourselves first. And it kind of goes along with the book that we're reading as part of the book club. But you have to know yourself first, your values, what's important to you, what you're looking for, what you absolutely will not settle for less of. And I think it's similar in a relationship as it is in a geography. I mean, if we're going to put kind of our heart and our soul into a relationship with a person or a location, it takes a lot of our energy and it takes a lot of our focus. And so I think both require us to be really clear on who we are and what our needs and our wants are.
That's so important. I love that. And I think that a lot of us end up where we are purely by default. Maybe
Yes.
we're where we were born, or maybe we're where we went to school, or for people like me, we're where our soulmate ended up being. It's often by default. So making the choice to be somewhere, that can be a little bit difficult, Lori. What
Yeah.
advice do you have for us about that?
Well, I think that like any other intentional, important choice in our life, we need to prioritize it.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think, and I know many of us talk about having a sourced life or having a life that's guided, by something or someone other than ourselves. And I think it's being able to also listen to that and to recognize that and to be open. Yeah. It doesn't happen overnight.
Sure.
I mean,
sure.
hopefully it'll happen sooner than 15 years like it was for me, for many of you. But yeah, it's making that intentional kind of step-by-step. Devi, I know you talk a lot about planning, and it's planning too. It's what can you do today that's going to get you closer, to that, geographical relationship that you're looking for.
I so when you start talking about planning, then you're speaking my language, because I have a long-term plan of eventually getting to the beach. So all y'all are welcome when that actually does happen. But some days, it feels a little farther away than
Yeah.
others. Tiffany says over in the chat, I'm a water girl, can't often get there, so I create gourmet bath time, music, candles, etc. Similar
Yeah.
to what April was saying about creating her own slice of paradise in her yard.
Yeah.
Any of you guys on the chat have any questions for Lori before we wrap? Questions, comments, concerns? Hey, Wendy.
I love all of this stuff, Lori. I think it's a great component to looking at our well-being and our growth. And it's just like everything else. We don't know until we try.
Yeah.
So if we're getting that big magic push about do this or move here, or it's there for a reason, but then our brain just talks us right out of it. Nothing's permanent. We could move somewhere and be like, oh, that's not what I thought it was going to be. And you can move back or you can move somewhere else. And especially now with the way that, entrepreneurs can pretty much work from anywhere. And a lot of people in corporate now can work wherever they want. So it just feels like the opportunity of us leaning into what's really best for us is expanding when we allow it.
Yes. Yeah, Wendy, I totally agree.
We're the only stop sign as usual.
Very true.
I always like to say racehorse tethered to a chair. Like it's only these barriers that we set up in our minds.
Right.
I love that. I love that you're commenting about the fact that things have opened up. I mean, yes, it's true. Things have closed down a whole lot because of the pandemic, but it's also opened up a lot of possibilities for us that we may not have
Yeah.
had access to before. So this is really, really great. Lori, we could keep this conversation going because it's really deep and meaningful, but unfortunately, we're right up on time.
Yeah.
I'm excited that we're having this conversation because it really it really speaks to something bigger, and that is us being a beacon of light, us shining our light in a world that needs leadership now in a way that it never has before. And many of you on this call today are actually authors and part of our upcoming Ladies Power Lunch Anthology, Be the Beacon, where we are sharing stories of times when we have gone within and really brought that light to the world and how that has changed things. And I'm really, really glad, Lori, that you've been able to share with us today a little bit of your journey. And I think I'm going to invite you all as soon as the book hits the bookshelves, and that's going to the bookstores, and that's going to be on October 18th and 19th, that you definitely go out and get the new Ladies Power Lunch Anthology. But also, we will be having our launch event, which will be rolled right in with our fall conference called Grow Smarter, Be the Beacon. And so I hope you all will have an opportunity to tune in for that as well. If you want tickets to that event, it's going to be available to you at growsmarternotharder.com. Lori, before we go for real, can you share with people how they can be in touch with you, how they can connect with you, and any resources that you might have that might be helpful along the journey?
Sure. The best way to reach me right now is either through Facebook or LinkedIn, or you can reach me via email as well. And that's Lori at inspiregreatnesscoaching.com. And I know that we don't always do a little gift here, but what I'd like to offer is the first 5 people who email me at Lori at inspiregreatnesscoaching.com, I would like to offer you a free hour exploration discussion just about where you are. Are you on the journey? Or are you on the commitment piece? And what would be some of your next steps?
That is an outstanding and very generous gift. And I am actually looking forward to having conversation with you about that as well. So beautiful. Thank you so much, Lori, for joining us today. Michelle, Wendy, Hannah, I'm looking forward to having you guys on the show so that we can talk about your chapters of our upcoming book, which is Be the Beacon. This is the opportunity for us to rise up and be the leaders that the world needs now. And I'm really, really looking forward to having all y'all as our presenters on upcoming episodes of Ladies Power Lunch Coffee Break. Thanks everybody for showing up. This was great.
Thank
So
you.
awesome.
Have a good weekend.
Have a great weekend, guys. See you on the next show. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.